Hey everybody, Bill in Virginia. Welcome back. So I'm starting this video actually on a Friday night. Was out of town on work for several days this week. Actually went to Chicago and in the evening did a Google search and found a couple of hobby shops within about 10 miles of the hotel. Went and did a little bit of a visit and bought some plant material. So some of these bush flowers, like those are roses, these are dandelions, those are kits that I've got to make, which should be fun. I should be able to make a bunch of them that I can use on my O scale layout. Also bought some Woodland Scenics deer, and I've got a few of those on the layout. And then I bought some other plants that I've already got planted. So just kind of take a little peek here at what I've got put on the layout right now, just to add some color and texture. And there's one of the bucks in the background. Coming over here, there's the doe and then a fawn in the back. And you can see again some more of where I've got these wildflowers and plants planted, just to add a little bit of color and a little bit more texture to the layout. You know, a little single plant there, a few up there. I will use more and plant more in different areas. So a little bit down here, kind of coming up over here, you know, a few right there, another one right there. So a number of these really did not go very far. You know, I got like one little guy right there, but I like how these look. I had planned on putting some additional plants in, and I'm going to continue to buy them. I will do my best to buy them used off of eBay, or you know, go to a hobby shop and get some, and go that route so that I'm not breaking the bank with these. Yeah, but they add that nice splash of color, and they look really good. So that's what I've been starting on this week for this video. Other things that I've been doing and continue to do, I'll just kind of come on over here and look at that. More trees are in the mix. So earlier today, just after work, I came out and I did the final glue application and then rolled the tips of these trees. So right now I have roughly, well, including some small ones that you can't see, probably about 60 trunks of pine trees in here. Most of them the taller ones, anywhere from about 8 to 14 inches, handful of around 6, and then a few that are about 5, 5.5. But I'll be making some more of those as I go through the video. So let's see what I can get done this week. Be working on the other side yet. I'm going to do more with that cabin, and that's where some of the trees and other vegetation are going to go. So let's get with it and see what I can do. Well, Saturday is drawing to a close, and been a beautiful day in Richmond. Not too hot, so I've been outside. Only been working a little bit on the train. So what I did is I made 16 more pine trees. So these are ready to have what I affectionately call the haircut, and then I'll finish them. So I'll get these done tomorrow, and probably on the layout as well. And then I can start doing more ground cover in and around wherever I set these. But you know, variety of sizes from pretty tall to pretty short. So good mix of sizes in with this batch, and next clip that I show should have these in place. Well, early Sunday morning, and I now have the static grass applied. Everything has been sprayed down with a hairspray. You can kind of see, you know, the pine needles. If we get a little bit closer on here. So that makes it look nice. I used a couple of colors of static grass. Some sort of the blended static grass, again 2mm, and then I used a darker green, sort of like a blue spruce kind of color, and blended it a little bit on occasion. so that I get a little bit of subtle variations with these trees. And of course the forest looks like a tornado hit it because the holes are getting worn out in the pink foam board. But next video segment is going to show most, if not all of these on the layout. And then I can start doing ground cover around those locations, as well as make more trees. So if you've used pink foam board on your layouts, you know that it works great for holding trees in place. Now, my trees, the trunks actually get inserted into the ground, so it's not like I've got a little spike on the bottom that makes the trunk sit flush. So I have to drill in, and if anybody's tried to use like a screwdriver, to poke a hole, the pink foam board tends to compress and then come back out. So I use, even a nose scale, a massive rigid drill. So no, I use a drill, usually a 3/8 or a 1/2 inch bit. Depends upon what size of trunks that I'm working with. But, pink foam board is easy to work with. Just kind of figure out that's where I'm going to want a tree. Just go in a little ways. I reverse it so I'm not really taking out the cuttings. I leave it in place because then that will actually help fit and form around the trunk of the tree, because again, none of the trees are the same size. Some are a little bigger, some are a little smaller. So the cuttings will kind of help keep it in place until I do the rest of the ground cover, which will then glue it in. So let's just kind of plant a tree in that hole and take a look how that looks. All right, just grabbed a random one that I just made and got the hole, press it in a little ways. Voila, tree in position. So I'm not going to do too much more in the way of like right in here for trees. I am going to put another 1 or 2 just right behind the cabin, maybe pull the cabin slightly forward. It's just sitting there. Kind of cover up the backdrop just a little bit more. And then I can start to put trees in some of these other areas here. Finish up ground cover and move on. So I'll show another little clip once I get a little bit farther along here. 16 trees added to the layout. So I like how that scene looks. Nice steep cliff coming up from the O scale. Got the cabin in the background there. I'm not going to put any more trees to block the view. That'll stay that way. So I added the rest of those trees right in here on this knoll, and I've still got to add more trees once I build additional. I'll add probably another 1 or 2 here, kind of maybe smaller, maybe taller. Then, come around on this way, a lot more trees, so I'll be busy for a while. Did add 2 more right behind the cabin. Kind of fills in some of the gaps, sort of makes the background scenery kind of come this way. Standing here, looking in, so as you're walking around the layout, you'll be following the train. All of a sudden the cabin's going to come into view. Still going to have like a little dirt road or driveway, whatever you want to call it, kind of coming across, some planks there. Still going to do what I've been talking about to the shed. Trimming the roof back a little bit, putting that chimney on, adding like a little porch and a little lean-to. But this is looking okay. Yeah, that's nice. So I think that brings me up to 236 trees on the layout at this point. Yeah, I need a lot more. It's okay, I enjoy making trees. Next things that I'm going to start to do is I will build up ground cover in and around these areas. I can get that pretty much finished off. I still have plenty of access room to get back into here. So I'm not too worried about finishing off the scenery that's there. These trees in this area are not going to block me from doing what I want to do. But that'll be the next thing, is more of the ground cover going in. So Sunday evening comes to a close, and what I've been doing this afternoon for a while is I've been adding more super tree material in, sort of to push that canopy back a little bit. Mainly I wanted to hide the pine trees from the other side looking this way. so that if you're looking up at the Scenic Divide, you know, it's plunging, yeah, but you see the deciduous trees rather than a pine tree kind of sticking out over the top. Likewise, on the other side, I added a little bit of super tree material, just to kind of create the illusion, you know, that it's kind of going around, which it is, so that it looks a little bit fuller in this area. So on this side, I've added basically 1, 2, 3, and then you can't see it really here, but 4 trees. On the other side, 4 additional trees of super tree material to kind of blend in and hide a little bit on that side. And I'll take you around and show you how that looks. But this makes that transition darker. Definitely looking like you're going into a deep forest on this. Sort of the transition between the deciduous trees that kind of occupy some of the valleys, and then the pine trees that occupy the areas up high. So I think that's gonna look pretty good. You know, you can't see anything in there. If my lights were brighter, you know, you'd get a better effect. But, you know, just kind of coming around over this way and looking at the Scenic Divide, the super tree material does help hide it as it plunges to the ground. You know, so you get a little bit of trees in there, kind of hides that. Ground level, you don't see it. And then definitely don't see it as you're coming up on this side here, over by the cabin. So I'll take a look and see what's on the cabin side. And then after that, then I'm gonna be doing more with ground cover, because I can do part of that area. You know, I can start to do around the cabin. So plenty of things to keep me out of trouble this week. So on this side, you know, you can kind of look behind the pine trees and see a little bit of the super trees. So like I said, about another 4 trees planted behind the pine trees. Again, down at the base, nice dark forest. Kind of go across these trees here. And you can see how it just disappears. You can't see the background there. Brings it up, you see super tree material on both sides, so it kind of blends it in. So I'm happy with how that looks. Next things, ground cover. So there's been a several day gap in between the last video segment and the one that I'm doing right now. Another travel week for me. Drove from Richmond to Nashville for work. Just got back late yesterday, Thursday night. Now tonight is Friday night after work, and I'm out in the garage. Tried to stop at a couple of hobby shops on the way out. Owners were on vacation, but caught one on the way back. I got a little bit of landscaping material. Hard to believe that I'm already about out of the material I bought at Caboose Stop Hobbies about a month and a half ago. Oh well, here's what it is. So I did get a little Woodland Scenic's static grass applicator kit, like the little practice kit. You know, the price on it was like 15 bucks. You know, I got a couple of bags of static grass, you know, a little sifter, you know, the instructions, you know, another little thing for the longer stuff, a little comb. Perfect for around the cabin. So I figured that would be good for that. And the hobby tack that goes with that to kind of glue it down. But what I'm doing here is, you know, I've seen on YouTube other guys doing different things to make little tufts. And I'm doing the same thing. So I'm using my Gorilla Glue in just some different blobs here. This is going to be for the O scale and On30. And I used the coarse rope. Cut it into 1/4 to about 3/8 inch long pieces. You know, I got a pile here. These are easy to unspool, and you get, you know, fairly nice texture coming off of these. You can see even like right here. You know, you get a wad of them. It'll come apart, and then you can kind of bunch them up. And I'm making these little tufts. So I put them into the glue, and then I have sprinkled burnt grass just kind of on it a little bit to kind of cover some of the glue on the inside, and you can see it soaking through, so I'll do a little bit more on that. Then I'll let this sit overnight and see how those look. You know, a few of them kind of going into the cabin, and if they look decent, I know of a whole bunch of other areas that I will put some of these in. Some other details I'm going to add on these will be to kind of put a little bit of glue in certain areas, make it look like there's some flowers kind of coming up through this. So, you know, looks pretty good from that angle. So we'll see how these turn out. So not a whole lot more on this video. I'll get a couple of other things done or in progress, and we'll wrap this one up. So Saturday morning, and I've been out in the garage for just a little while. My little tufts, I think, turned out pretty good. So the glue had dried thoroughly. They held their shape. I used a little bit of hairspray, sprayed each one, then used a combination of burnt grass and weeds from Woodland Scenic's turf type products. They're really fine. Did sprinkle a little bit of coarse burnt grass in on a couple of them, and then top coated that with the finer materials. But these look pretty good. I'm gonna start playing with putting them on the layout in a few areas, and we'll see how they look. So this will be the last segment on this video. It's long enough, and I have been doing some scenery work. Got my materials in place. Doing more with the ground cover, just right in this area here. I did add in a couple of big super trees that I will count towards the total number of trees that I've put in. So I've got this little part pretty well done. The tufts that I was making, I've just got them set in place. I don't have anything glued. Probably will move one or two of those, as I will add more pine trees right in that area. But in and around the cabin, you know, I'll have some of those tufts in different spots, representing small bushes, you know, stuff just kind of coming up. But those turned out pretty well. Once I get the ground cover and get them blended in, they should look better. But I do like how that looks. I won't go crazy with them, but there'll definitely be some areas where I'm gonna get some use out of them. I do plan on putting a piece like right in here of a tuft that I'll make to kind of, you know, get that little dirt road cut across. So those will go in more where there's been human activity, and you get some of that little underbrush kind of growth. But the scene is coming along. You know, I like this. You kind of, if you're walking, you can see the cabin. You walk over this way, disappears behind the woods, transitions into the cliffs, and then down to the O scale layout. You still see the On30, but it's more of a focus in this area on the O scale. So yeah, this is coming along pretty nicely. We'll see what else I can get into on the next video. So that's it for this one. Keep having fun on your layouts. Until next time.